Now we are going to start a Sutra discussion. I think usually you conduct this type of discussion. The Sutra discussion is the most effective way to learn Buddhism. In order to learn exact Buddhism, the real teachings of the Buddha, we should read sutras. Sometimes when we read different types of books written by many people, authors, but some written sometimes is not exactly right. Why? Because they are adding their own thoughts. But once we read the sutras, that means we learn exactly what Buddha said. That's the importance of learning Sutra. So you are extremely lucky because you are putting effort to do that. It is very rare, people, they don't like too much focus of sutras, the contents, because it is boring and a lot of details there, and sometimes it is difficult to understand. They don't want to spend time to read, and most people, they like to hear, or just they need little short introduction, not the whole thing that they want to understand, they want to learn. But the learning sutra is really important. This is the real way to learn Buddha Dhamma, Buddha's teaching. So today, the sutra that we are going to discuss is Sabbasava Sutra, about taints, about defilements. Sometimes it calls taints, sometimes it calls defilements. Right? It's different ways of saying the sutra. The sutra started to deliver in Jetavanaram. So, Bhagava Savatyang Vihirati Jetavane Anathapindikassa Arame. Is that okay now? So, this sutra delivered in Jetavanaram, Anathapindika's monastery. I think you all know who's Anathapindika, right? The one who built Jetavanaram. And how many years that Buddha spent in that place? Sometimes say 19, sometimes say 20, 25, right? The most of his life that he spent in Jetavanaram. Have you been to that place? Yes, you can see the ruin now. You can see where the Ananda Kuti and where the Buddha's Kuti and all the places that you can still see. So the Jetavanaram is the place that he delivered this particular sutra called Sabbasava Sutra. And some sutras, if you read some sutras, the way of delivering the sutra is different. Sometimes question arises and then Buddha delivered the sutra. And this sutra, actually, he voluntarily, he delivered this sutra. Voluntarily, he delivered the sutra to the monks, bhikkhus. It's about taints. So just directly he says, once the Bhagava was staying at the Jetavana monastery of Anathapindika in Savatthi, at the time the Bhagava addressed the bhikkhus, saying bhikkhus, and they answered him, Venerable Sir. Then the Bhagava uttered these words. Is that same thing there in your translation? So what actually we are going to discuss of this sutra? It's about taints, right? So, bhikkhus, shall I expound to you a discourse on the restraint of all asavas? Listen well and pay good attention, I shall speak. So, this is the beginning of the sutra, of starting to deliver the sutra. And bhikkhus, I declare that the extinction of asava in one who knows and sees, and not in one who does not know and see. Okay. So, this is something that we need to pay attention here. I declare the extinction of asavas in one who knows and sees, and not in one who does not know and see. What does it mean? So, he wanted to declare this sutra. He wanted to declare this sutra, the one who knows and sees, and one who knows and sees, and not in one who does not know and see. Do you have any idea? The one who knows and sees. That means that intelligent people who can focus something, who has some knowledge to understand something. That's why Buddha said once, Panyavantassayan Dhammo Nahan Dhammo Duppanyasa. Right? My Dhamma is not for foolish people. People who knows, who understand, who is able to understand. Those people can understand my Dhamma. If you do not have any knowledge, you are unable to understand the Dhamma. Why? Because the Dhamma is very deep, right? Even this sutra is quite deep sutra. It's difficult to understand. So you have to have some knowledge to understand the Dhamma. What is known and what is seen by one in whom I declare the extinction of asavas, the right perception of phenomena and the wrong perception of phenomena, bhikkhus, in one who has wrong perception of phenomena, there arise asavas that have not yet arisen, and there also is an increase of asavas that have already risen. Bhikkhus, in one who has right perception of phenomena, there is no arising of asavas that have not yet arisen, and asavas that have already arisen are also removed. So here now explaining what is known and what is seen by one whom I declare. So somebody can understand it mindfully. You have to have a mindfulness. Here the mindfulness, it is called yoniso manasikara. You have to have a yoniso manasikara, means mindfulness to seen, to understand, right? Without mindfulness, yoniso manasikara, we are unable to understand the reality, the dhamma, the nature. So in the Pali, it says yoniso manasikarang ayonisoja manasikarang. Ayoniso bhikkave manisikaroto anupanna cheva asava uppajjanti. So when someone mindfully, if they think taints will not arise, arisen taints will not improve, right? But unmindful person, if the person is unmindful, what happens? Unarisen taints will arise, arisen taints will increase. That's the point. Here the mindfulness is the point here. Unmindful person, if you are unmindful person, taints will arise. Unarisen taints will arise. For example, like unarisen anger. Unarisen anger will arise. Why? Because you are not mindful. The mindful person always aware of every corner. Aware of eyes, nose, ears, body, tongue, right? So every doors is awareing. Have you read the sutra called Kim Sukha Sutra in Samyutta Nikaya? That's a wonderful, beautiful sutra. It says that every sense faculties needs a mindful guard. It says guard, the one who's guarding the doors, because these called doors. Eyes is a door, ear is a door, eyes are doors, ear is a door, and the mouth is tongue is a door, right? So every place that you have to pose a guard. This guard's duty is to check whoever get in and out. When you close the door, the king is there. The guard is checking outside whoever getting in. Make sure that he's not harming the king, right? So if the person comes with the bombs or any hazardous things, the guard doesn't let him come in, right? Because it is dangerous. Buddha said similarly, the guard is there to check whoever gets in eyes, nose, ears, and so forth. Who is the guard? God is mindfulness. So if we are mindful, our eyes not looking for unwholesome scene, right? If we are mindful, our ears are not looking for unwholesome hearing that pollute your mind, which are polluting your mind. And if the mindful guard is active, your body doesn't engage with any unwholesome act. So the main thing to arise taints is unmindfulness. Unmindfulness. So unmindfulness generates more taints, accumulate defilements. Yoniso manasikara, as long as you have the yoniso manasikara, then arisen taints will demolish, vanish. Unarisen taints will not arise. That's the power of mindfulness. An unmindful person is able to generate taints more than mindful person. So I think you understand this, the explanation. What is known and what is seen by one whom I declare the extinction of asava, the right perception of phenomena and the wrong perception of phenomena. Bhikkhus, in one who has wrong perception of phenomena, there arise asavas. Right? Here say, bhikkhus, in one who has wrong perception of phenomena, there arise asavas that have not yet arisen. Why? The reason? Wrong perception of phenomena. Understand? Then asava will arise. And they are also in an increase of asavas that have already arisen. whatever inside in the mind. For example, if you have anger already in the mind, you don't do anything. You don't try to overcome it because you have a wrong perception. You think it's okay, right? You think it's okay to have anger. You don't see it as a defilement. You don't see it as a wholesome thoughts. You just let it be there. And what happened? It gradually increase, right? Why? Because of wrong perception that he has. Wrong perception. And one who has right perception of phenomena, there is no arising of asavas. The reason? He has right perception of phenomena. And asavas that have already arisen are also removed. You see two different things that doing the right perception from the right perception and wrong perception. Two things are doing. The two jobs, right? Two duties. Right perception of phenomena, not let rising any taints. Rise and taints will remove. Wrong perception of phenomena, unarisen taints, let unarisen taints to arise. Arise and taints to be cultivated. So this is the point is yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara. Is clear? Yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara is these two things clear? You have any question? I think you all understand that, right? What is yoniso manasikara? What is mindfulness? What is unmindfulness? Mindful, the mind always full. There is no room for anything else to get in. If there is any room, any defilements can get in. When this room full, we have to shut all the doors. We don't let anyone else to come because the capacity is not enough, right? So there's no room for anything else. So the mind is full means that posting all the guards in every doors, 6 sense bases, eyes, nose, ears, tongue, body and mind, right? And all the guards are there doing their duties. When one guard is sleeping, things can come in, right? That is, the mindful guard is there. It's no longer exist, no longer present. So things can get in and polluting your mind. So it is when you read Satipatthana Sutra, you will learn more about what is mindfulness and unmindfulness, right? In the Satipatthana Sutra, start with ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo sattanam visuddhya soka pariddhavanam samadikkamaya dukkha domanasanam attangamaya and so forth. This is the only way to overcome sorrow and lamentation, to overcome physical and mental suffering, to gain wisdom, to attain Nibbana. This is the only way. Means establishing mindfulness of the body, feelings, mental objects and the Dhamma. So this is about mindfulness. The mindful person is always aware what is in there, what's coming in, what's already there. He's not just aware, then what he do, he just let it go. Remove. That's what he has said. And asavas that have already arisen are also removed. That's Yoniso Manasikara's duty. So what are the ways to overcome taints? Now Buddha is explaining the ways to overcome, eradicate taints. How many ways? How many ways to overcome taints? Here in this sutra. 7, right? 7 ways. Atyasava dassana pahatabba. The overcome to taints, here explains 7 ways. Dassana pahatabba means seen. And atyasava sangvara pahatabba. Sangvara means restraining. And atyasava patisevana pahatabba. Using. Atyasava adivasana pahatabba. Enduring. Atyasava parivajjana pahatabba. Abandoning. Atyasava vinodana pahatabba. And atyasava bhavana pahatabba. These are the 7 ways that Buddha is explaining here to remove taints. Now, one by one, Buddha is explaining what is first one, what is the second one, and so forth. Here, bhikkhus, there are asavas that should be removing through vision. Vision means dassana pahatabba. That should be removed through restraint. Sangvara pahatabba. That's the second one. Asava that should be removed through proper use. Patisevana or prerequisites. So we will explain one by one. This is just overviewing of the topics. These are the topics. These are the 7 are the topics. These 7 are the most important points here to learn. These are the most important points, 7 points. And that should be removed through forbearance, adivasana pahatabba. Asava, that should be removed through avoidance, parivajjana pahatabba. Asava, that should be removed through rejection, vinodana pahatabba. And asava, that should be removed through cultivation, bhavana pahatabba. Okay, now let us go to first one. What is first one? Sane. Yes. Asava, that should be removed through vision. What is vision? Bhikkhus, what are the asava that should be removed through vision? Bhikkhus, in the world, the ignorant, avijjasava. So why people have ignorance? Because if they do not have faith, saddha, they do not practice sila, if they do not aware of hiri means shame, ottappa, moral dread, if they are not practice of chaga, generosity, if they do not practice of sutta, hearing, if they do not practice of wisdom, generating wisdom, the ignorance always there. Why people ignorance? Because they do not have a saddha. That's the first point. You have to have a saddha. Saddha towards Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. If you don't respect the Buddha, then you don't listen to the Dhamma. Why? Because you don't have any inner confidence of the Buddha. You don't have any idea of the Buddha. You don't pay respect to the Buddha. You don't care about Buddha's qualities. You don't aware of anything. You don't aware of how Buddha sacrificed. That's the first thing that we should have. Without saddha, you are not here, right? Without saddha, you are not attend to the temple. But saddha must be established, well established. Sometimes people's saddha can be changed, given a little thing, given books, bags, pencil, pen, some milk packet or something. That's what is happening in some other places. If you want to change people's faith, you just give some material things to someone. You go to poor places, if you are Buddhist, so you just give some material things and then you can change your faith just giving something. Because their saddha were not deeply rooted. Easily you can change someone's faith because not deeply rooted. Not that type of saddha that we need. Here Buddha said, saddha danang sila darang hiriyotta piyandanang sutadanam tachagocha panyame sattamandana. These are the 7 spiritual wealth. You must have a saddha. You need to read the Buddha's qualities. You can see how much he sacrificed his life to gain enlightenment, to attain enlightened Buddha. So then we gain saddha. When we read these sutras and how deep these sutras, and we gain saddha of Buddha and the Dhamma. So without saddha, ignorance will appear. And also sila that we should have in order to overcome the ignorance. Avijja. If you don't practice sila, that means you are not practicing the real Buddhism. Right? You are not, at least if you don't follow at least 5 precepts, then you are not even established the base of Buddhism, into Buddhism. Sila must be established in our lives. And hiri means moral shame. What is moral shame? Moral shame means that shame to do evil things. Shame to do evil things. If you do not have shame, you can do anything, right? So should have moral shame. Ottappa means fear of doing evil things. Moral dread. Fear of doing evil things. People, they fear because of bad karma will come. People of fear to kill, lying, gossiping, harsh words, saying harsh words, jealous at someone. They are fear. Why? Because those unwholesomeness chasing him, like a bullock cart that turning, the bullock, the wheel of the cart turning behind the bull. So they have that fear called moral shame, fear. And sutta, what is sutta? Sutta means hearing. The real meaning of sutta means hearing, listening. The Buddha in the Tripitaka everywhere he uses the word sutta because at that time only way to learn is hearing. No writing materials, no CDs, no books and no computers, it's nothing. Right? So only way, everywhere, Buddha said sutta. Listen. That's the only media that he used to have in the history. No any other ways to listen to anything. So that's why sutta. But today, if we edit, we can add not only sutta, seen, read, so any other ways that in technology that we use in different ways MP3 or whatever. So different ways. Sutta. Chaga. Chaga means practicing generosity. Chaga. And the last one is wisdom. Panya. If someone following all these 7 factors, that person never ever change his faith. He never ever get any avidya thoughts, ignorance idea in his mind. Never ever. Why? Because Dhamma deeply rooted. Just the 7th thing there. But if you expand it, you can imagine how much that rooted. So who is not in the habit of seeing Aryans, they can see Aryans. They can meet Aryans. Why? Because they don't have that base. That person doesn't have a saddha, no sila, no realization, no understanding, no wisdom. Right? So that person cannot see the Aryans. You see how many people they come to see the Buddha? How many people they come to see, follow the Buddhist teaching? Why? Because other people, they do not have any thoughts of Buddha, any idea of who's Buddha. They don't have any understanding of the Buddha. That's why they don't come. Only selected people, even throughout the big Buddhist group, few people, they actually deeply they understand and following and practicing the Buddha's teaching. Because they don't, they just called born Buddhists, They're born Buddhists. They are not really grounded. They're born in Buddhist family. If I ask, what is your religion? I don't know. My parents are Buddhist, that's what people say. Why? Because, that person doesn't have any roots that grounded well. And who is not proficient in the Dhamma, so he doesn't have any idea of the Dhamma, and not trained and disciplined in the Dhamma of the Aryans. Not trained and disciplined. If the person doesn't have any discipline, any train of the Dhamma, he is unable to practice this Dhamma. And who is not in the habit of seeing the virtuous, who is not proficient in the Dhamma of the virtuous, and who is not trained and disciplined in the Dhamma of the virtuous, does not know factors which should be considered attentively, and the factors should not be considered attentively. Not discriminating the factors which should be considered attentively from the factors which should not be considered attentively. He considered attentively the factors which should not be considered and does not consider attentively the factors should be considered. If that part is clear, the asava that should be removed through vision. So actually, once you attain first sainthood, this is about seeing. Once you attain first sainthood, you will not think of anything that we just read. The person who does not attain the first sainthood, Sotapatti, they always can be up and down. But asava that they can remove by Sotapatti means Sakkaya Ditti, Vichikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa. Once you overcome Sakkaya Ditti means self. Me, myself. That's the view of me or myself. If you think me, myself, the Buddha rejected that. Why? Because it's nothing that we can claim as me or my or ours. The reason, my own body doesn't stay the way that I want. If I say 1,000 times to my body that not to get sick, right? Does it work? No. If I say 1,000 times to my teeth, don't lose my teeth, not to lose my teeth, it doesn't work. And not to get old. So nothing going to work as what we say. Why? Because there is no self condition. You cannot claim it's me or myself. So you need to overcome that in order to become Sotapatti. Sakkaya Ditti. Then Vichikiccha, doubt about past, future, present, about Buddha, Dhamma. So if any doubt that you have, you are unable to become Sotapatti. Then Silabbata Paramasa, rites and rituals. If you are believing rites and rituals, that you are unable to become Sotapatti, the first stage of sainthood. So the person who becomes Sowan, then he can remove all these stains I just mentioned. It's about ignorance, doubt about the Dhamma, who is not in habit of seeing Aryans. All these will fix after you become first sainthood. Until that, it can be time to time, doubt can be there, right? Some questions can be arising. These things can be happen. So, who is noble? We call Arya. Who is Arya? Noble one, right? Noble person, noble friend. We call Arya. We Arya? Are we Aryas? At least if you, go to extreme entry or upward, we can call noble person. Arya. Otherwise, we can call good person, right? We can claim as good person. Why he's good? He doesn't kill, he doesn't harm, he doesn't steal, he doesn't do any misconduct, he doesn't steal. So we can call him a good person. So, whoever is, put Dhamma into practice, we can call good person. What are the factors which are considered attentively, though they should not be considered? Because in one who consider attentively certain factors which should not be considered, there arises the defilement of sense pleasures that has not arisen. And there are also in an increase of defilement of sense pleasures that has already arisen. There arises the defilement of hankering after better existence that has not yet arisen. And there also is an increase of the defilement of hankering after better existence that has already arisen. There arises the defilement of ignorance that has not yet arisen. There also is an increase of the defilement of ignorance that has already arisen. There are factors which are considered attentively by ignorant worldling, though they should not be considered. What is actually asava means? In first hand, I mentioned asava means is different defilements and so forth. But if we look at it like the wine, they brewed many years, putting into container, right? And then it brewed and many years, right? That is asava. Similarly, in our mind, kama asava is brewed in the mind. It's very hard to remove. It's brewed. It's many years, many times. It's already staying there and very hard to remove. That's deeply rooted in there. It's brewed in there. Here it says, if someone's mind, unarisen sense pleasure arises, arisen sense pleasures increase, right? That is called kama asava. Kama asava. Sense pleasures that already brewed. Very difficult to remove. It's already, rooted, very deeply rooted. Very hard to teach him mindfulness. Very hard to teach him concentration. Why? Because this pleasures is rising. Is already in there, is brewed. And second one is bhava asava. Bhava. What is bhava means? Better existence, right? So we imagine have a better existence. Bhava. We imagine of better existence. Bhava. That's deeply rooted. You never ever think to attain nibbana. You need again and again come back in samsara with better lives. So that is kind of craving to existence. Like a bhava tanna, right? We call bhava tanna. And here we call bhava asava. Why? Because this is about defilements. When you read the Sutra, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, what it says? Kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha, right? But here, that is a sense craving for existence, craving for non-existence, tanha. But here, it says kama asava, bhava asava. That's the difference. Because this sutra about asava. Right? So we need to look at it, compare with others. And the third one is avijja asava. What is avijja? Ignorance. Right? These are the asava, taints that should not be thought. Right? Should not be thought. These asavas about sense, pleasure, existence, thinking of existence, better existence, and ignorance, avijja asava, should not be thought. If someone is thinking of these asavas as it is, so that person is not a mindful person. His thoughts, his understanding of the Buddha Dhamma is not rooted. Immediately need to be removed. And what are the factors which are not considered attentively, though they should be considered? Because in one who consider attentively certain factors, there does not arise the defilements of sense pleasures that has not yet arisen. And the defilements of sense pleasures also that has already arisen is removed. There are not arise the defilement of hankering after better existence that has not arisen. And the defilement of hankering after better existence also that has already arisen is removed. That's what we should do. If there is already in these asavas, if unarisen asavas, we should not let arise them. Arisen asavas, immediately we have to remove it. That is our job. Right? So then they get more and more defilements. They get doubt whether we exist in the past, will be in the past. So all these thoughts will arise because of these defilements is there. Once we remove all these defilements, we won't have any kind of doubt. Okay, the second one, the asava that should be removed through restraint, samvara pahatabba. That asava that we should remove through seen, by at least once you attain first sainthood, you can remove all these asavas. And also there are other ways to remove asavas, that is restraint, samvara. Because what are the asavas that should be removed through restraint? Because in this teaching, the bhikkhu reflecting properly abides in the restraint of his faculty of sight, asava, and other destructive burning defilements may rise in the bhikkhus who does not abide in the restraint of faculty sight, proper reflection. This is about what? Samvara. Samvara pahatabba. Samvara means restrain. How we can restrain from eyes? How we can restrain from ears? How we can restrain from nose? How we can restrain from tongue? How? How we can restrain eyes? Close our eyes? Close our ears? No. Right? We restrain from eyes, as I said, whatever you see, you just notice, I just saw. Right? Ditte dittamanta. Right? Just I see. You are not grab it. You are not take it between. But only unwholesome seeing, unwholesome hearing. Don't let go of wholesome thoughts, wholesome hearing, wholesome seeing. Right? If you read the Buddhist, if you look at the Buddhist statue, you don't just think, oh, I just look at it. I just saw it. You don't go in that way. You just, yes, this is nice and beautiful, and then I can recall the qualities of the Buddha. It comes all the qualities to your mind. So don't let them go. Why? Because we need that. It's just like a good cholesterol, It's a good thing that we need. And hearing Dhamma, let us listen the Dhamma. Let us focus the Dhamma. Let us pay attention to Dhamma. But is anything else as make you mindful? So we should not proceed. Immediately we have to look at it. Just this I heard, I just saw. Right? That's all you need to think. That's how we restrain from sense medias. The problem is once you see it, then you want to have it. The idea of having it. And once you hear it, then you need to buy it, you need to keep it, you need to follow it, you need to practice it. Like a terrorist leader release a CD of his lecture. He's asking to do such and such things. Then you hear again and again and again. Then your mind gradually polluting. And then you become a part of the person, right? You become a member of it, right? That's how people, some people join in terrorism, some people join into the right path. Because those people listen the wrong thing, wrong idea. They're looking of guns, and they like to see guns and shootings, and all the videos that they are seeing are something related to fighting, suiciding, blood. And some group of righteous people, they are always following the Dhamma. You see how these two things? So some people are restraining from the sense media, some people are just look at it, just watch it, just hear it, and that's it. They don't grab it, they don't follow it, they don't practice it. The problem is, once we see it, then we need to continue to see that again. If you look at some unwanted scene, unnecessary scene, then you need to continue to see it again. Right? If you go to gambling, right, and then you need to continue to go there. You want to continue to go to do that. That means that, you are dragging. You are going alone with that thoughts, that scene, that hearings. And restraint here means that ditte ditte dittamantan. Just know I heard, that's it. Oh, I heard it. Just mindfulness is there, you just aware, I heard it, that's it. And stop and just do whatever you want to do. Don't follow it, don't chase it. Don't practice it. That's what it means. And that's how we restrain. And there's others also same. Hearing, touching and so forth. So it's called burning. Right? Burning and destructive. What burning? Burning and destructive. Once you see certain things, it's burning. You need it. You have, it is aggressively that you feel that you want. That is generating more and more ideas of it. That's what's called burning. So you cannot sleep. You cannot rest. You cannot relax. Why? Because that picture already in the mind. So you need it. You need to, follow it. And then it's turned to destruction. Maybe people suicide. Right? They can handle it. Their mind is not enough. The capacity is not good enough to handle the problem. So the people that, weak people, remember that in a Colorado shooting recently happened, He's a very clever, he's a very educated person, and he's almost, I think he got a PhD or something. But he got all the knowledge from the books. But he did not cultivate his mind. He could not handle the problem when arises the problem he could not handle. He just shot many people and killed. And that's, these things happening everywhere. If you looking at this psychological thing is, the problem is there. The problem that they have not developed their mind. That's why in that type of things, they, become destructive person. They become the worst person. So in that end. So once you taste and, everything, sometimes once you taste kind of, we call heroin or something, marijuana, right? And then you want to use it again, right? So the mindful person, he think, well, this is not good. This is something I have to let go. I just tasted, this is not right. So he just let it go. Unmindful person, he just keep tasting. And he cannot restrain. So, some defilements, some taints we can restrain, we can overcome, remove from restraint. So, the next one, asava that should be removed through proper use. Proper use of what? Bhikkhus in this teaching, bhikkhu wear the robes reflecting properly. He wears the robes only for protection from cold, heat, gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, heat of the sun, snakes, scorpions and lice, and just to cover up his nakedness. So this is the proper use of requisites. Proper use why we wear robe. It is not just for showing up, right? It is not for beauty or luxury. We just think just covering up and protecting from the heat and cold and flies and so forth. And why we take food? This is a reflecting of food. Before we eat, we call patisankaya yoniso pindapatam patisevami neva davayana namadayana mandanayana and so forth, right? We are taking this food not for building the body, right? Not for showing, just for surviving, to carry on with this service. That's the reflection that should be there. You have to think such a way. Proper use. If you open your closet, how many shirts and, gowns and things in there, right? You just use one time and then, no, I don't know to use this because some people, they already noticed my clothes, my dress, so I want to buy other one, right? You just keep in there and you get other one. That is something that, people doing. But here is Buddha directly asking us to, when you are using these things, and make sure that you are using it for purpose, right? You are taking food for what? not to be a bodybuilder, right? You are using shelter just to protect from the flies and so forth, and protect from the weather and so forth. And this is a 4 requisites, talking about 4 requisites that people always need: clothing, food, shelter, and medicine. So Buddha said you have to reflect upon these requisites. Once you practice that, you can remove taints. Asava that should remove through forbearance. Forbearance. Because what are the asava that are to be removed through forbearance? Because in this teaching, a bhikkhu reflecting properly can endure cold, heat, hunger, thirst, gadflies, mosquitoes, and so forth. So bhikkhus, asavas, and other destructive and burning defilements may arise in the bhikkhus and cannot endure with painful sensation. Those asavas and other destructive and burning defilements do not rise in the bhikkhus who endure such painful sensation. So patient, right? We need to patient. Try to be patient. So if someone asks you to do something, so if you lose patience, so you cannot do it. And if you want to practice Buddha Dhamma, if you do not have a patience, so you cannot complete. So you have to have a patience, forbearance, khanti, right? Khanti, that we all should have. Is that that text is clear for you? Here it says, let me read it again. Because in this teaching, the bhikkhu reflecting properly can endure cold, heat, hunger, thirst, gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, heat of the sun, snakes, scorpions, and lice. Can endure ill-spoken and unwholesome words. He has the nature of being able to endure severe, cruel, and excruciatingly sharp, disagreeable, unpleasant, deadly, and painful sensation which arise in the body. So if painful sensation arise in the body, what we should do? Yes, we have to be patient, right? That's what it says. You have to be patient. Because asava and other destructive and burning defilements may arise in the bhikkhus who cannot endure such painful sensation. If you cannot stay with that painful sensation, so then you lose patience. Asava that should be removed through avoidance is that 9:30. I think a little bit more. Yeah, we almost finished. Yeah, asava that should be. I don't know. This is we have to finish it one day, or we have to go through but this is long sutra. If you go in short, we have to go like this. Asava that should be removed through avoidance. Bhikkhus, what are the asava that should to be removed through avoidance? Bhikkhus in this teaching, the bhikkhu reflecting properly avoid the fires elephant, the fires of horse, and the fears of ox, and fears of dog, snake, tree, stump, thorny place, and refuse pit and cesspool. If a bhikkhu dwells in such an improper place, resorts to such an improper resort, and keeps company with evil friends, his wise fellow bhikkhus would suspect him of involving himself in evil circumstances. Reflecting properly, he avoids proper place, improper resort, and evil friend. So directly talking about to the bhikkhus, right? But this again, he's talking to bhikkhus. Also, it applies to everyone. Yes, it depends upon what is your condition. So you need to avoid the places that generate taints. If you go to casino, right? And if you go to a nightclub, right? If you go to places that generate taints, that Buddha is saying that you must avoid. That is avoiding of going to those places. The place that people they drink, the place that people they are, having kind of bad company, bad friends. If you go involved with them, what will happen? You also automatically in there, and even you can suspect or offense of being there, And sometimes even can be arrested. You are not playing cards, but you are just surrounding and looking it at, right? And they come and catch you. So avoiding of such places, that's what his Buddha said. So in that way you can avoid you can overcome of taints and don't let generate taints by being such a places. So if it's poisonous snake and dangerous dogs, elephants, in dangerous village, dangerous jungle, forest, that's what he's saying. Don't go those places. You will be in trouble. You have to avoid. You cannot meditate if you go such a place and you just go and, just right away and elephant come and, crunch you. Right? And a snake come, yeah? Yeah, that's what I said, that just look at it, that's it. Ditte dittamanda, just look at it, that's all. If you involve into it, and then if you take a part of it, and that the way to develop taints, right? That's what Buddha said. And here is very good statement that he's saying, is don't go the unsuitable places. Go to suitable places. That in Mangala Sutra he said, Patirupa desa vasocha. Even living in suitable, auspicious places is good. Don't live in other places that not suitable. Patirupa desa vasocha. Live in such a place. I think it's not that difficult. The sutra is very clear, right? And next one, asava that should be removed through rejection. Rejection. What is rejection? Bhikkhus, what are the asavas that are to be removed through rejection? Bhikkhu, in this teaching, the bhikkhu reflecting properly does not tolerate, but forsakes, rejects, get rid of, and prevents an repeated rising in him of the rising sensual thoughts, the rising thoughts of malicious, the rising source of injuring another, does not tolerate but forsakes, reject, gets rid of, and prevents the repeated rising in him of evil, deleterious thoughts whenever they arise. So this is about effort. Effort. This is called vinodana. Vinodana. Effort. That you must have an effort. It's called virya. You have to have an effort to remove taints. It's not automatically happen. You have to put effort. So arisen evil thoughts that we must remove by putting effort. You have to have effort. That is the way of meditation. You have to look at it. You have to look that what types of refinements in the mind. Then you have to put effort. Called atapi. In Satipatthana called atapi. You have to have effort to remove it. And then remove it and let it go and vanish it. Don't let it come again. Reject. So the last one is asava that should be removed through cultivation. Bhavana of the factors of enlightenment. Bhikkhus, what are the asavas that are to be removed through cultivation? Bhikkhus, in this teaching, the bhikkhu reflecting properly, cultivate the enlightenment factors of mindfulness that is directed to detachment from defilements, freedom from attachment, cessation of defilements, and that promotes and develops the uprooting the defilements and speedy attainment of Nibbana. Reflecting properly, he cultivates the enlightenment factor of investigative knowledge of phenomena, cultivate the enlightenment factors of effort, cultivate the enlightenment factors of delightful satisfaction, cultivate the enlightenment factors of serenity, cultivate the enlightenment factors of concentration, he cultivates the enlightenment factors of equanimity. By cultivating enlightenment factors. So it's called Bojjanga, Satta Bojjanga. So cultivating the Bojjanga Dhamma. So Ida Bhikkhu Sati Sambojjanga, Virya, Dhamma Vichaya, Passaddi, Upekka, all these Bojjanga that once you cultivating, you can remove asavas from cultivating bojjhangas. So the 7 ways of asavas, that's what in this sutra means. Do you remember at least the 7 ways? Dassana pahatabba, attaining sovan by seeing it. Attaining sovan, the first stage, dassana pahatabba. And then samvara pahatabba, restraining, right? Restraining sense medias. And patisevana pahatabba, using of requisites. And adivasana, endeavoring. Parivajjana, abandoning. Vinodana, forbearance. And bhavana, cultivation. That's all we learn from this sutra. These 7 things. Even though it's long, long details, but that's these 7 things, 7 points that if you can summarize, these 7 things, that's the 7 point we learn. The way to avoid, overcome taints. 7 ways to overcome taints. So if you want to, make a kind of a document, this is a topic to how to overcome taints. 7 ways of overcoming taints. So step by step is 1, 2, 3 and so forth. So you can make a statement. But the sutra itself, it has a lot of details including, but the summary that we get only about 7 ways to overcome these asavas. And remember, the yoniso manasikara is there, and it is in the first place. It's about mindfulness there. It's unmindfulness, mindfulness is 2 things that make big difference. If unmindfulness, that generates more taints, mindfulness not generates any taints. So that's why Buddha put at the beginning, yoniso manasikara, ayoniso manasikara. If you are in yoniso manasikara, you can overcome all these taints. And if you are ayoniso manasikara, it is going to be very difficult to. Why? Because you are not awareing. Without awareing, how you can overcome anything in you, whatever is happening, right? Without awareing, how you recognize this is not good, this is bad, this is unwholesome. And mindfulness always triggered that saying, this is good, this is wholesome, this you should get it. And it triggers, this is unmindful, this is evil thing, don't get it. So mindfulness is at the beginning that he put in the sutra, that saying the mindfulness can change the person's attitudes. Unmindfully, we can be evil person if we are unmindful. If we are mindful people, we can be a moral person, or better person, or the good person, or finally Aryan noble person. Just basically remember these 7 things, the 7 point overcome asavas.
Bhante, can you kindly explain what is asava? Well, how is that different from defilement or fetters?
Asava?
Yeah.
Just we went through the asava, right? Yeah, it's asava actually. Asava means defilements or the taints. They're translated in different ways, and it's something that makes your mind polluted. For example, like a kama asava that I said, right? Kama asava. Kama asava means sense pleasures that you always have, that sense pleasures, and you cannot do anything because of this sense pleasures is rising all the time. It's rising and it's rising, and you can wait, you can stay away, but you have to have a tool to remove it. The tool is that we just explained 7 ways, right? Those are the recommended 7 ways that you can remove those asavas. As I said, asava is another way to explain is brewed something. Like the winemaker, they brewed right? It's a long time that it brewed, it become very strong, powerful, right? That kama asava, the sense pleasure, it become very strong. You can overcome it. You can overcome. It's already pop up. I want it, I need it, right? That's what this asava means. So that's why Buddha said you have to remove it, and these are the way. He didn't say just remove it, but he shows the way to remove. It's not only one way, right? Once you become so one, you can remove it. If you have a patient, you can remove it, right? If you have if you are aware of your foods, you can remove it. So you can remove in different ways, and also if you are mindful person, if you try to be mindful, the mindfulness triggers what asavas in the mind already in your mind. So is any asavas in the mind? It's staying or established asavas or defilements in the mind. So mindfulness is showing every details. This is this type of asava is there, that type of asava is there, and this is sense pressure, and this is about existence of interest of existence. All this is showing in details, and you can remove it gradually if you are a mindful person. Yeah. So that's what it means. Asava means taints again, and also defilements, or something is rooted in deeply, but you have a way to overcome those asavas. Those are the way actually Buddha is explaining here in this sutra. Sabba asava means, sabba means all, asava means taints, all the taints. That's what it means. All the taints. Sabba asava sutta. The discourse of all the taints.